Welcome to Matters of DeCorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. Happy Halloween. A little chilly on this fine October 31st, 2022. Like me a nice snuggly blanket on cold days. I live in Los Angeles. It's not actually cold here. It's cold in the office, not in Los Angeles. I kind of need the office to be cold. Air conditioner's cranked up a little bit. The eyes start to freeze, but my lungs really appreciate the cold air, as do the computers in the office. And almost a Lovecraft story there. There's a problem with introducing horror into your average role-playing game these days. I'm not talking about games that are designed to emulate the horror genre, Chill or Call of Cthulhu. I'm talking about the cultural zeitgeist at the moment, the Dungeons and Dragons, the fantasy adventure games. It's hard to inject horror into those because what is a horror trope in any other literature is experience on feet in Dungeons and Dragons. Your flesh golem, Frankenstein types, your werewolves, skeletons, undead, vampires, zombies. Those are things you kill to level up. They might represent a major problem in your campaign. They might be that big bad at the end that you got to kill, but they're targets. They're things that you are going to be dealing with. Man, we need to get some silvered weapons so that we can bypass that damage resistance. Someone rolls out the 5-gallon barrel of holy water and you just start spraying it over everything. Yeah, you can't really turn those things into a horror game after they've been your average run-of-the-mill adventure for the past however many weeks, months, or years. But there's something terrifying in Dungeons and Dragons. There's something that is more terrifying than anything written in the monster manual, actually. Yeah, a different source of true fear and true terror. And I am, of course, talking about the most destructive force in Dungeons and Dragons. Player characters. Player characters are the most terrifying things you are going to come across in a D&D game. If I was going to run something, if I was asked to run a horror game in D&D, particularly for an established group, step number 1, get a copy of the characters. Throw in a copy machine, jot down the relevant notes you need to, make sure that there's, you get digital copies. Most folks have a digital version of the characters someplace. And hold on to those. Do this a month or so beforehand. Not because you need a month to work with the material, but because you want it to kind of fade in the heads of the players that you've got a copy of their characters. The day of the horror game rolls around. This would not be a bad one. I know it's a Monday, but it is Halloween. So something in this season, perfectly appropriate. And for your session, everyone sits down, you open up the sodas, you get out the pretzels, and the Dungeon Master hands out, just for a little, we're going to do a little something different. Please put your characters aside for a little while. We'll get back to them. But I'd like you to play these folks for the evening. And these folks are villagers. They've got a set of stats. They've got a background. They got a race. That's it. That's what they got. They are average, common folk. Salt of the earth. And your mayor's evil. He's lawful evil. The carriages run on time. The silo is always full. You get decent benefits because he's evil, but he's not stupid. He understands you got to keep people happy if you want to grow your little evil village into an evil town. Maybe he's working for the evil Baron up the road and just trying to keep the farms going. You're having a nice day at the tavern. Harvest festival. You just brought in the last of the grain, and the mill's going to be working it over for the next couple of weeks. But you guys can all settle back down with the last year's ale, because the new stuff's going to be ready to come out pretty soon. Smell of smoke in the air from the wood fires across the village. You're just sitting there to rest. Sheriff of the village comes in. Folks got a problem, or some folks are on their way to. You think they're going to try and make some problems for the mayor? We don't want no problems with the mayor, do we? Nah, we want everything to keep running. These folks they're pretty rough folk. I got Sam outside in the wagon. He got a shipment of breastplates and short swords from the Baron up the road, and asked me to hand them out. We're having rough. We might have a rough night. Might be a rough day too. If you value your homes and your loved ones, why don't you come out and you get yourself a breastplate, get yourself a short sword. Just be ready, because these folks that are coming in, bad news, real bad news. I'm going to go try and talk to them. I'm going to go have a word, see if I can't head this off, because I'd rather you folks didn't have to do anything about it, but that's the cost of living here now, isn't it? You can get your stuff. I'll see you guys in a little bit. So you're out at the wagon and you're talking to folks who've never had to put this stuff on before. You don't have a proficiency in this, but you're going to slow down. You're going to have a better armor class. You have a weapon. You don't have proficiency in it, but maybe you can swing it. Okay. You get to see the mayor, or the sheriff walk out of town. Mayor's back at the. Mayor's probably in the town center. Whole other since where he sleeps. Watch the sheriff head out there. Got some of the decent wisdom stat. Might be able to see what's going on. Maybe borrow the sheriff's spyglass, see what's going on. Give you an advantage on that perception check. It's 5 folks up on that hill. 5 rough-looking folks. Big, mean, spooky-looking folks. Sheriff goes up to have a talk with them, though. Everything's going to be fine. And then the sheriff is dead. It is almost impossible for you to tell the moment that the sheriff goes from upright and talking to in pieces on the ground on fire, ruthlessly dead. And those 5 folk are coming into the town. And you look down at the breastplate you are wearing, the short sword in your hand, and the breastplate that you and your friends are all wearing, the short swords in their hands, and realize the next step is you. And those folks come into that town. You can try and talk, but you've seen what talking gets you. And then the fireballs start. That fighter just goes into this dance and starts cutting your friends in half. You could fight, or you could run, because this doesn't look winnable. And if you run, they're going to chase you. Maybe you'll get away. Maybe you won't. Roll initiative. That's a horror game. That is a horror game, utilizing the most destructive force in Dungeons & Dragons, the player character. Now, if your player characters are already predisposed towards this kind of action, if this would not be the first village that they have razed to the ground, then you're all good. You can just run this as it is and hand them back their characters at the end with fresh experience on them for all of the bad guys that they took out, with the characters they were running last week dead on the ground in their minds. Or if you've got one of those rare parties that wouldn't raise a village of people working for the evil Baron, that wouldn't just blow them all away on their way to the villain. If you got a proper, good, maybe even lawful good party going on there, then it gets a little more interesting because you take the player characters that they handed you a month ago and you play with them a little bit. You don't run those characters as the villains. You run recognizable evil duplicates of them. You run folks that they've got a few more spikes on their armor. They're all wearing black and dark tones to emphasize it. The mustache and beard trope from Star Trek, the evil universe duplicates of your player characters. And why are they there? Good characters make evil enemies. Maybe those characters have been stepping on the toes of an evil god's plans for their entire career. That evil god has raised up an evil matching party to oppose them. And maybe this whole village thing is just that first step in destroying the player character's reputation, because it's using their methods, using spells that they know and weapons that they wield to perform this heinous act that your players did last week, or your players were part of last week. And now your player characters had to clear their name and to foil the plans of this evil god, have to hunt down characters every bit as capable as they are. It is a horror session that can lead into a story arc or even a whole campaign. Does anyone make it alive out of that evil village scenario? Maybe. That's not up to me. That's up to the dice and how ruthlessly they're pursued and how clever the players are, because they might get away. They might score a lucky hit or two. You already know they're not taking down those PCs. Now, it's not fair. This is a horror game. There's nothing fair about it. The psycho killers are on the field. Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger. They're all just walking down the street, and now you got to deal with a whole party of them. And no, that's not happening. Villagers don't stand a chance. There might be an old veteran in that village. That's the first person you got to kill, so that you're sure that they understand the stakes. Someone who's actually capable didn't have a chance, a snowball's chance in hell of dealing with this. Now it's all down to you, the other guys. And if anyone does survive, well, that's someone that the player characters can find. Someone's going to be terrified of them. Someone's going to think that they're the bad guys. Might be able to recruit that person, learn some stuff, at least talk to them, get some information. You might terrify them to death because they are terrified. And you see the horror, so you have faced the horror of what you are capable of, and you face the horror of seeing other folks see you as the monster. That's a horror game. I'd run that. I'd run that in a heartbeat. I'd make sure folks know that's what was being run. Had a game master run a game like that for me in the past. Didn't convey that's what we were doing very well, and caused some bad feelings. You got to treat that carefully, but you let folks know we're just doing this for the night. Yeah, the other characters, you get your regular characters back. We'll play those folks again after this session. We just got to run through this. Happy Halloween. One prop I might suggest: a ticking time bomb, some kind of clock. An hourglass would be amazing, but something that's got at least an hour to it, so that might be kind of rough to find. Hour-long hourglasses are kind of rare these days. a timer on a computer or something counting down, something you very obviously set out and start up at the beginning of the game. Turn that hourglass over, and folks start wondering what's that for, and you don't tell them, and you'll find out when it runs out. Little extra ticking time bomb, little extra stress, little extra something, bump up all the levels. And when it hits 0, I mean, that's up to you. Big bowl of candy, happy Halloween, trick or treat, or okay, oh, that's bad. Okay, everyone, roll initiative, and some big supernatural thing shows up and ends the day. Could do both. Could do both. Trick and treat. And that was have to be or, right? Well, thank you for following me along in this particular ramble. Happy Halloween once more. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. If you did enjoy the video, give me a thumbs down. Feedback is feedback. If you would run a game like this, how would you do it? Any questions you might have about this kind of format, things you'd like to hear me talk about, questions you'd like to hear me ask, leave me a comment down below. I will love getting your comment. You'll love leaving me one. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, why not? My channel is awesome. Hit the subscribe button. If you do, you might also want to hit the notification bell so you're alerted when my videos become available. If you would like to contribute to the channel in a more substantial manner, I invite you to hit me up my Patreon page, www.patreon.com/ScottCorum, and consider donating. Absolutely anything helps. Allows me to make better videos more often. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I'm Scott Corum. This is what has mattered to me. I'll see you next time on the next Matters of DeCorum.